You're quiet, Rick. Shouldn't you be revealing grandmas aren't real?
After a long hiatus, Rick and Morty is back, and we at The Binger are here to break down the moments that caught everyone off guard. From fascism to feral fluid, there is a lot we were not expecting in Season 4, so let's dig in. Until now, Rick has had free reign to be his own specific brand of smart. He's been gallivanting freely through dimensions with his grandson in tow, consequence-free. But now Morty's mom has stepped in. In the opening scene of the new season, the Smith family is seated around the breakfast table, having a wholesome meal when, suddenly, Rick snaps out of his auto-response mode to drag his grandson to space. But Beth steps in, saying,
"Dad, there's a way we do this now."
Rick begrudgingly asks Morty if he will please accompany him. And obviously Morty says yes, but later in the episode his parents aren't too happy about him turning into an anime blob. "I don't know if adventures fit into my son's life," Beth says. Jerry is significantly more pissed off, but eventually Beth concedes to Morty that
As long as you're okay, that's all we care about.
you can expect a lot more of this in the coming episodes. After all his trips to different fascist futures, Rick eventually finds a non-fascist one. But here, everyone is a wasp. When he emerges from the trapdoor into the garage, Wasp Rick is there to explain the ins and outs of what it's like to have evolved from wasps. "We eat our prey alive," he says. "And when we don't, we lay our eggs in their eyeballs so that our young can feast on their brains when they hatch." This is actually pretty much true. Wasps often lay their eggs inside other bugs, like caterpillars, and then bury them in the ground. When the eggs hatch, the babies eat their host. Not nice. Wasp Rick says that when you're born that big an asshole, the least you can do is have a little bit of empathy. So he helps our normal Rick out and invites him over for dinner, where the Wasp family is eating/torturing Mr. Goldenfold, who, in this universe, is a caterpillar. Ever since Kanye West tweeted a photo of himself as Pickle Ye, a reference to the episode Pickle Rick,
So hot.
fans of the show and the musician/designer have been praying for a collaboration. It turns out it's not coming this season, but maybe in Season 5? Justin Roiland says that, quote, "There's not a clock on it. We've hung with him, we've chatted, we've brainstormed. I don't know when that will materialize, if it will materialize, but I know if it does, it will be amazing." Kanye, the more I got to know him, he has a really good sense of humor about himself. He's awesome. He's a great guy. I think that was kind of the coolest thing to discover in getting to know him, was just what a chill guy he is and what a great sense of humor he has about his image and all this stuff that's out there. He's just very grounded about all this stuff. Apparently, they want the episode to be a musical and they want Kanye to produce the music. But getting all the legal red tape aside is proving to be slow, as these things tend to be. So not now, but one day. When Rick gets himself impaled on a stake and needs to find a way to clone himself back to life, he ends up in other dimensions. All of them, except for one, end up being alternate fascist universes. The strangest of them all is the one where he emerges from the cloning tank as a shrimp and meets his other shrimp self. He's relieved at first, but a few seconds later, he's getting chased down the street by the shrimp SS. Rick and Morty has always been full of references, but this one went above and beyond. Morty's plot, for most of the episode, has him following a crystal that predicts his future. He avoids dangerous situations, and his single-minded determination eventually leads him on a rampage that ends with him merging with something that looks like the symbiote from Spider-Man. But this is no symbiote. This is feral fluid. The same thing that happens to Morty in this episode happened to Tetsuo in the 1988 movie and in the books. He lost control of his powers and bubbled up into a giant thing. It ended much worse for Tetsuo than it did for Morty. His bulging growth ends up destroying Tokyo. This whole episode starts with Rick bringing Morty to harvest crystals that, when you hold them, allow you to see your own demise. Rick, ever the pragmatist, simply uses them to see when an enemy is not in a position to knock him off. Morty, the idealistic teenager, goes a bit off the rails with it. Although Kanye's not in the show yet, there is a reference to another, very different musician. When the Smiths are at the breakfast table and Morty is looking at Jessica's Instagram, he says he's trying to see her new necklace, which her grandma left to her before she died. The necklace says Margaritaville. This is a reference to the one and only Jimmy Buffett and his most famous song, Margaritaville. The song is about wasting away in the sun as a gringo tourist in Mexico, trying to hide from your problems while you drink margaritas. It's not exactly clear what this means for Jessica, Morty, or the rest of the show, but here's to hoping for a Jimmy Buffett cameo. You never know what you'll get from Rick and Morty, but we definitely were not expecting Kirkland. The Costco house brand got a big call out as the makers of a third-party version of the Meeseek. The new season is getting off to a great start, but will it stay that way? What were some moments that surprised you? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to The Binger.